This video is going to use, review and test a build submitted to me via my official Discord server. If you've been here around long enough, you'll remember that I used to do that quite a lot, because pre-Edge of Fate, build diversity was a lot easier to achieve to get items to level at power. In the game now, it's a massive problem, and Bungie are aware of it and will be addressing it. When, I don't know, but they will be. It's the unstable core economy. Now, to me, it's a simple solution. Just reduce costs. Just reduce the costs. And when I say reduce it, I mean really reduce it. I mean like 10 mats per upgrade. Right? Not 20,000 mats, 10 mats. 5 mats. This is hurting the game long term. And I'm still getting by. I mean, I've done very well to make all the builds that I have. You know, all the versatile builds cost a lot of cores, they do. So, I mean, I'm sitting at $250,000. Imagine if I hadn't made all those, I would be sitting at 999 constantly. So I've done very well. But anyways, coming on to the submission via a guy called Volk. What a king, what an emperor he is. Look at how well spaced out his submission is. I think rest of you should take tips from this lad. That's how you should be submitting a dim link to me. Some of you submit it to me in, I don't know, it's all scrappy and stuff. I get the dim link, I open it, it's scuffed. You know, this lad's presented it properly. That's what I like to see. He's even added reasoning and all sorts. Let's just read what he says. Dive bomb build, setup, Fred runner with suspend, dive and decoy for dive bomb shenanigans and speed loader slacks so that I can spam them. Weapons, any RPM hit count weapons return dodge quickly. Current weapons for him were Festival Flight with Ambitious Assassin plus Attrition Orbs, Year-Tide Apex, Heel Clip plus Chaos Reshaped, and Finality's Auger. That's what he used. Armor sets are Smoke Jumper 2-piece and a Tech Sec 2-piece. Bushido 2-piece would be better if you don't need the shield break. Tips. Rebind your air dodge key to something you can easily press, please. You can dive mid-grapple, which you can. Kill an ad to get orbs and keep yourself alive after diving. Heel clip weapons help out too. It's not a bad idea to spam dives to get super in a pinch. Melee more dangerous enemies before diving at them. So I've reviewed his information. That's well writ out, right? He's done a really good job with that. All right, he's done a fantastic job. I've took his information and done some tests today, and this is what I've come up with. And weapons are a little different because I'm combining some other broken things in the game with this. Now, it's a big thing with the dive bomb situation with the suspend. The massive change that came, I think, this week, is that Ensnare and Slam gives woven mail. In the state of what we are with the game in D2, damage resists are everything. Now next week, everything's going to be minus 30 delta, minus 25 delta, minus 20 delta, etc. Having damage resist in a kit is a game changer. So with this slam aspect being a little niche, it was still actually pretty good for some things. But now it's very, very good, right? And there's different things that you can do with this and play very aggressive with this slam or dive bomb build because it gives you woven mail and it's suspending targets, champions, you know, groups of enemies, hordes of enemies, right? It's just that good. Now, this ability is not on Prismatic. It's not on Prismatic. Now then, before I get more in-depth into it, so like I say, I have modified his dim link a little bit to my needs, but it is the base build what he suggested. It really just is. And his thing about RPM links to dodge ability energy back is absolutely true. Now I've noticed when I'm posting build videos up, Warlock and Titan videos excel and Hunters always lag. Well, not always, but most of the time, more often than not, my Hunter videos do worse than the Titan and Warlock ones. So you Hunters, I want you to stop wandering the streets too much. Stop searching for dolphin dandruff. You won't be able to find it on the beach because it'll have disintegrated in the sea before it gets there. So stop trying to search for something that doesn't exist. Get with the program, get with your videos and consume them, please. That's what I'm asking you to do. Consume my videos if you can and stop looking for things that don't exist. All right? So that's a little bit of a motivational speak for our hunters because this build's very fun. It is. So it's regarding speed loader slacks. Now, I've went through this and found that there's some inconsistencies. For example, the tight fit perk, whilst very good, the first half of it really doesn't matter and you're not going to use it. You're only going to use it for this sentence here where it says dealing sustained damage grants class ability energy, because tight fit does not work with the slam properly and you've got to dodge first normally to proc tight fit to then start doing it. Very annoying. But if we just look at dealing sustained damage grants class ability energy, that trait on its own is enough to justify the exotic. Plus it's Edge of Fate based. Now the comparison is Radiant Dance Machines, and I use this today. And I can say that Radiant Dance Machines is very similar to Speed Loader Slacks. I would say they're very similar to each other, right? And you can multiple stack slams on this, so you can have 3 slams. But most of the time you want to spam your slam as soon as you get it, so there's no need to have 3 slams. So I come to the conclusion that, yeah, you probably just use Speed Loader Slacks, because this will give you class ability energy on single target damage, whereas class ability energy gained from Radiant Dance Machines is mainly from kills. Yeah, that's the distinction between the two. You could use Radiant Dance Machines as well, but yeah, it's probably just use Speed Loader Slacks for this sort of build. Stat wise, you will not get an overshield if you use your slam, which is a massive issue. I think that is unfortunate. I went into this today thinking that you would get an overshield and you don't. So you only need 100 class ability, no more than that. Run a highish weapon start, highish super start, and that's really what it's all about, right? It's not really about grapple melee, this one. It's more about dive bombing, right? I know grapple melee is meta. I understand that it is meta. But we're not doing that build. We're doing Speed Loader Slacks dive bomb, suggested via my Discord. So now we come on to this rocket launcher here. Now, I'm not the expert on this rocket, but it's this perk here, Braytech Legacy. Damage with this weapon generates an improved amount of ability energy for the one close to full charge. This allows you to spam the slam even more, and you can do a bit of single target damage with the rocket and keep dodging to keep reloading the rocket. It is quite nice. And I think, like I said, I'm not an expert, but the cluster bombs, I think that the cluster bombs is given more energy back, and it's synergizing with Bray Legacy. So this cluster bomb bipod rocket, this Stram rocket, is a very spammable rocket, and it's good for GM combatant difficulties. It's not good for like dungeon DPS bosses, no. It's more for like dealing with champions and combatant sections. That's what this is good for, unlocking down zones. I do like this rocket launcher with this build. Now I recommend Ahab Char because it's got Braytech Legacy as well. Braytech Legacy is fantastic with slam builds. And as what the guy said, Hail Clip is the one to go with this. He used Yertide in his option, and that's fine. But I've went with Braytech instead, because we can get Bray Legacy to proc. And finally, I'm pairing it with this, because I'm using the rocket, I'm using a legendary primary, so I had no exotic to use. So I was like, I'll just use this, because this gives us more unravel, and it does more strand things for us. And we are in a rocket pulse rifle meta right now. So it makes sense to put this on, right? It makes sense to put this on, but it is good with Barodiad as well. Yeah, it is very good with Barodiad, this build also. But obviously you would swap out your rocket pulse for something else in the energy slot, right? So I'm just explaining that. So there'll be armor mods, there'll be a dim link, all of that. Let's go over the aspects and fragments and the artifact mods. So obviously it's Silk Strike. Marksman's dodge for the lower cooldown and reloads all my weapons. We've got Fredling Grenade on, because this isn't really about grapple. This one wasn't about grapple. You could even go Shackle for more suspend on top of everything that you're doing. This is more suspend stuff, right? But Fredling Grenades are very good now with the buffs to Fredlings. And I just think that it's nice to have more Fredlings with this build. Aspects are Freddy'd Spectre and the Slam, of course. Now then, we had a tough decision to make today, because I was really wanting to use Well and Maelstrom, and you know that I love this trait, and you probably could just use this with the Beyblade and the Slam and do Beyblade and Slam, but when you're making your Slams, you're making a clone, and Freddy Spectre is OP. So I'm really stuck on this one, which one I went with, and I think for this build, having clones is very generous for when we are soloing in endgame content to get survivability. This build will lack survivability if we don't rock this, but we could have done Well and Maelstrom. We could have done. Fragments have Thread of Generation, Wisdom, Mind, Warding, and Continuity. Continuity is very good for the extra duration of suspend and stuff. Thread of Warding for Woven Mail, so you get even more Woven Mail on top of that. Yeah? Thread of Mind, so for more class ability energy. Thread of Wisdom to get orbs off all of that, so we're getting even more orbs. And Thread of Generation for more grenade energy, which is a very good one. Now, I could have run this with Festival Flight. I'm a massive fan of Festival Flight. It's probably my favourite legendary weapon in the game right now. And I could have just ran that. But we're focusing more on the Rocket and more on the Braytech Legacy Origin trait, synergizing with the Slam. Artifact mods are, let's take it from the top, discount on Scavs. Tightly Woven helps you out on this build. Threadling Proliferation does. Pack Tactics does. Energy Acceleration will not work with the exotic version, so I probably should have took this off, but it was on from a previous run to this. Elemental Daze is very strong. Freddy Blast is as well, so I could have took off Energy Acceleration for Freddy Blast, right? Fever and Chilk's the primary. Shield Crush, very powerful, and Tangled Web's a very powerful one as well. There are multiple weapon loadouts with this build that can be done. But you want to use survivability weapons to enhance the build, but it is actually rather strong with the Woven Mail Uptime. It is actually rather strong. So that is the build information on with the run. Oh, I just forgot. Hang on a minute. It's not on with the run, is it? Hang on, roll that back. It's not. Don't you dare skip to the next segment. I'm going to be doing a -30 solo test, and we're going with the Warrior as a good little test. It's a good little test, this one. Because that final boss is quite tank. He's a tanky. So what's 550 minus 520? It's 30 power, right? So this is -30 delta solo run. This is a -30 delta solo run. So we have tested this build to its highest degrees, almost. I mean, I could have made it -40, but I mean, are you going to scold me for that? Everything's going to be -30 tomorrow anyways. So we added some Banes and stuff to get to that power. And we literally added Airborne. Yeah, Hunters, let your hair down, honestly. Please let me just have a little fun. It's all about you, isn't it? What about me for a minute? Let's think about me for a minute. I'm doing the run. I'm testing the build. Let me have a little fun with Airborne. Alright, don't tell your grandmother that I put Airborne on, because she'll have a go at me as well. That's fine. It's a good little test, this. Short and sweet on the run. That was the card setup on the test. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so here is that -30 solo ultimate with the dive bomb build. Let's review how good it is, or how bad it is. Let's just see. So we stun this overload initially. I get a dive bomb there with Woven Mail left hand side, you can see. So I've got Woven Mail, I've got damage resist. However, this overload does scam me, but he is still finishable, look. So we're alright. So we get rid of him. Then I do another dive bomb, I get it back. And then we do some damage with the rocket. Nice damage, respectable. However, it is airborne. But I have mentioned that airborne was on. Let your hair down for just one day, will you please? Please, don't be just scolding me for that. But yeah, rocket's a nice pairing with this, but there is other weapons that you probably could. We do another dive bomb here. That's 3 dive bombs so far. Let's see any keen-eye viewers who can distinguish or calculate how many suspend slams that I did in this run. Let's see who's clever out there and who isn't. Guess the number of slams in this run. And then comment down below and tell us what it was. Because I don't even know. You can tell me. So we, again, lead the encounter with a slam. It's good because it's suspending all the targets. It's giving me woven mail. I'm controlling the battlefield in some capacity. Maybe not to the level of what a warlock will, but it's still doing some nice control. Yeah, it really is. We'll do another slam here. Look at that. So you just keep getting that slam back. Pay attention to the class ability energy regen that I get back in this. Now, I tested this build with Radiant Dance Machines, and it was also good with that. But Radiant Dance Machines, it's better with an exotic primary like Barrow Dyad. Whereas on this run, we're not using Barrow Dyad. We're using Speedloader Slacks with Exotic Mint and the Rocket. So we're doing a little bit of different things. Overload there gets destroyed. Now, I'm going to rocket this Riven. We do. Man, that rocket still hits him. I was lucky there. Then I pop a super. Remember with this build as well, you can do the slam unlimited in your super whilst your super is up. However, it will not give woven mail. But you have got super damage resistance when you're in your Roman super anyways. So you're very tanky in a Silk Strike. Silk Strike's one of the best supers in the game at the moment. Bear that in mind. So this build's got a lot going for it. Very high uptime on woven mail. Yeah. Making lots of clones on the battlefield. There's a lot to be said about it. It's pretty strong, this. It's pretty strong. This barrier TPs to my right. We suspend him with the Exotic Mint, which is a nice pairing, like I said. So that's also suspending as well. Suspending. Now we've got another phase of Rivens to deal with. So I'm going to just pop it. I've got my super back. So you're getting quick super regens on this. Obviously, always run a 100 super stat minimum for the regen, right? But you can go way above 100 as well for that damage buff, which is nice because Silk Strike, as I said, is one of the best supers in the game for active combat in levels where you're minus 30 under and stuff. Look at this. We get pushed. I whip out the Mint. Suspend. Finish him off with the rocket. Extremely fun is this rocket because you're going to keep getting your dodge back from it. Now, how it works as well with the Braytech Legacy perk is that it will give you your energy to your least charged ability. So if my nade and my melee are charged up but my class ability is not, that's where you get the chunks. It's the same reason why you can do that with grapple melee as well. If you keep your dodge and your melee but you don't use your grapple, you will then get it back with the rocket because of Braytech. This also works with the auto, but on a smaller ad clear scale, because you're just clearing ads with the auto, right? Whereas a rocket you're doing DPS to a boss and what have you, right? Although the auto does have burning ambition, right? So it's gonna help out with the Braytech there. I use a nice rocket on there, on those ads that are coming over that hill. So that was some good spawn killing. It stops the ads from spreading out. And then I'm going to deal with this sniper here. Just going to rocket him down. Nice with the cluster bombs. I miss cluster bombs. I think it's one of the best animations that rockets have in D2. And I would like to see cluster bombs getting buffed. Although they're all right now as they are. I mean, but they're not to the same quality of maybe lasting impression or, elemental honing. But I would really love a cluster bomb buff. We are due that. We are definitely due a cluster bomb buff. Because cluster bombs have not been meta since 2017. Some people will have lost their adolescence before cluster bombs gets buffed. Some of yous were teenagers in 2017. And now you're mid-20s and we still haven't seen a cluster bomb buff. We need a cluster bomb buff. Where's it at? We definitely want one. But the cluster bombs felt nice on this particular build, at least. Right, but obviously there are more useful rocket perks than cluster bombs. But cluster bombs has that unique interaction with Braytech. And that's what's nice about this, with the bipod. And it's a spammable rocket. Bipod makes it spammable. It makes it, your ammo goes so much further because of it. Again, it's not much of a DPS rocket, although obviously you pair it with grapple melee it is. But you know what I'm saying? It's more of a combatant rocket where it's good, effective against hard combatant encounters when you're under leveled, minus 30, etc. So guys, we're playing aggressive and we slam this champ first. Then we go in with the rocket. I think one missed. That's fine. We clean him up with the rocket pulse. Then we'll go in again. It's nice just having that reload. Yeah. And we go in to slam that boss. So look, it's doing nice control, is that? That's nice. Being able to just slam key targets like that. It has got a bit of a skill ceiling, this build, and that's what might put people off. It has. It definitely has. A lot of hunter builds have nowadays. But once learned, you know, it's nice. Nothing's worth having if it doesn't take time to learn, right? If something can be learned very quickly, is that worth having or knowing? Because everyone will know that information anyways. Think about it. If you're learning something that not a lot of people know about, that is so worth to know. Because you're one of the only ones to know about it. See what I'm on about with that? Look at this with Slam, and then we go in with the Silk Strike. That's one phasing. A champ at minus 30 with Silk Strike. No surges were on. I had no surge on. I know Airborne's on, but we wasn't jumping in the air on that particular champ. So there we go. We're playing aggressive here with the Rocket Pulse. We've got my dodge back yet again. I get pushed. Watch this. Boom. I'm pushed. Woven Mail goes in. See? So there's survivability there, right? There is. The only thing it's lacking, I mean, it probably would overtune it, but if there was some way of getting your health back via the slam itself, so if the slam said, gives you the woven mail and then you get a bit of health, or have it work with the overshield. The slam does not work with the class ability stat overshield, and if it did, oh man, this would be very dangerous build, this. It would be very powerful in the game for like GM gameplay. If it had an overshield, oh man, it would be extremely strong. It's unfortunate that it doesn't. I mean, it's pretty strong now as it is. Takes a bit of, skill ceiling, and what have you. And it is very fun. Now look at this, we're dealing with this brig with the rocket. Doing nice damage to him. And I'm going to finish him off with the rocket pulse. I know from past with Empire Hunt Warrior, you can skip most of these ads by just killing the brigs. And I'm going to do just exactly that. Because I'm just using this activity as a testing ground. It's merely a testing ground to showcase you a build to you. Right? Because I don't want to get into the danger of me becoming too mainstream and showing you the builds incorrectly. I need to keep and maintain authenticity, because authenticity is everything. Once a person or anybody loses that uniqueness about them, then they become like everybody else. So it's very important that I stick to my roots. And when we are solo testing a build, we solo test it properly. We don't just test in the hall. That is cheap. You can test in the hall, but you need to back up what you say and say what's true, rather than just saying, pop on this build, it does crazy things, and there's a 30-second clip and somebody's talking. Yeah, use this, use that, with some stupid music in the background, yeah? And you're like, oh, that looks so good. And then you load up D2, all excited. You're like, oh, I hope this is good. And then you try it and you don't like it. That's what happens. Disappointment. Destiny 2 players have enough disappointment in 2025 without some other content creator disappointing you even further. That's what I'm saying. We stick to our roots and we're testing something. It does pass the test. You can solo with this build. And there's other things that you can use. You could use the exotic axe. It heals you. So you definitely can use this. And mix and match with the Beyblade even. You would lack clones, but you'd have a Beyblade. So there is that. Now then, final boss. Overload spawns in. We are going to deal with him. Right, I've got a friendly nade on him as well. I'm going to slam him. I get woven mill. I get weak. I want to get weak. Thank you. So the boss hits hard. But I'm defending myself with woven mill. I'm defending myself. I'm standing my ground with it. Yeah, and I've still got enough super. Look at how tanky he is. That's not Silk Strike's problem. That's Phylax, the warrior. He literally is the warrior. He's very tank. Look at that on the clone. Look at that on the clone. He doesn't know where I am. Now watch what happens here. I want you to cover your eyes, children, but adults can watch. Watch what happens here. The complete room de-aggros. Yeah, he spawns in ads. Yeah, two Corsairs. They shut off completely. Look. They've switched off. They've switched. Look, they're not doing a thing. I apologize. That's out of my hands. I can't do anything. So now I feel like I'm cheating. Oh, now they see me. But are they pushing? They're not even pushing. Something's weird in this one. That is a bug. Now, we are making clones, but none of the ads are pushing. So there's something wrong with this encounter. But I'm pleased to tell you, it's only on phase 1. Because I've done this twice. And the first run was exactly the same as this run. The ads de-aggroed completely. That should not be happening. So that's definitely a bug. What can we do? We're in a test. It's not my fault. Don't shoot the messenger. It's not me. I'm just explaining to you that the ads have de-aggroed for no reason of mine. Only that they've just de-aggroed because D2. Now I pick up all the ammo before the plate disappears because that ammo will then go into the Vex fluid. I don't want that. Phase 2, there's a barrier. Alright, so a little bit of threat here. I've got a super to use if I need to, but I'm pretty much going to be alright with it. I do some nice detonation damage there with the pulse. Now I'm going to use super because it's important for me to use it now. Since this boss is that tanky, I'm going to do a bit of jumping, airborne light swings. We're doing a little bit more damage because of airborne. Yeah, that just goes to show how damn tanky Phylax the Warrior really is. But look at this. Look at the defend I'm doing. I'm stunning him. I'm pseudo-stunning him. I'm getting woven mail off him. I've got heel clip to rely on. I've got the rocket pulse. So, I mean, you're pretty strong on this. Like, if I use this build tomorrow, I'll pretty much be able to solo everything in the portal. I would struggle on some dungeon layers trying to solo one cycle them. You wouldn't solo one. You'd struggle to solo one cycle anyways. But I'm explaining to you, on the combatant side of things, I would be good enough to solo pretty much any battleground GM. Any normal strike. Glassware, Devil's Lair, even Luminality. Even Luminality. Yeah, you would at minus 30. Yes, you would. Don't say that you can't, because somebody will do it. You got to respect D2 players. There's a lot of players out there that will go against the grain, and if you say that they can't do it, they will. Look at this slam. Slam, then a rocket goes in. Good and clear. It's actually good. I actually do like this rocket because it's spammable. It really is. So I like this. I'm getting pushed by 2 knights. Fantastic. I suspend 1. I use my rocket to clear them. Yeah, I've got woven mail left hand side. There's an overload to my left. I need to clear him now. I whip out the rocket. I do a slam there to reload my weapons. We're not weak. We're half HP, but it's time to pop a super because I need to get rid of these captains. So I like this final phase. It's a very good phase for me showcasing you the survivability of the build is possible. But you've got to, as I say, you've got to be about your wits a little bit. The clones will help. Because what's helped me survive is the clones, the clone technologies, right? Because look, the boss. Now I'm going around the map having damn fun. Look at this. Double rocket, slam, double rocket, slam. So I'm just going all in with my rockets. Whilst, yes, you do lose damage with bipod, the upshot, though, is it's a spammable rocket and very good for combatant challenge at minus 30, like this. We're doing some nice damage. Look at the super regen. Look at the super regen with clusters. Clusters nice with it. It's nice for super regen, actually. Then I use my super. That's what I was looking and farming for. So that's a solo ultimate minus 30 delta test. A review of the build, if you like, submitted to me via my Discord. This build is hella fun, and there's all sorts of other different combinations that you could do. So experiment, hunters. That's what I say. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.